Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Milburn, editor of the MSP Channel Insights portfolio, and I'm joined today by Matt Knell from ESET UK. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and your role at ESET and a little bit about ESET as a company?
Yeah, no problem at all. So my name is Matt Knell. I'm the UK Country Manager at ESET. I've been here for just over 2 years, and we are a global leading cybersecurity vendor, offices and support globally. But I look after the UK office. We're about 70 people protecting tens of thousands of businesses and consumer customers in the UK.
Amazing. So since joining ESET in 2023, you've focused on energising the UK partner programme. What changes or initiatives have you introduced to help MSPs grow their businesses faster?
I think three key areas for us in terms of what we've been looking to do. First is how we manage the partners, the investment that we make into them, and then the commercial support that we provide. And simply put, really, I suppose, is about trying to make doing business with ESET easy, enjoyable, and profitable. So one of the big things that we've done is to invest in the actual team. So we've grown our MSP channel team to 5 people now. So the MSP partners are working with dedicated MSP channel specialists, not just general channel specialists, but dedicated to the MSP team. So regardless of your size as an MSP, regardless of the investment that you want, so whether you're a brand new partner to us and onboarding, we've got a team that specialise in that, or whether you're a larger MSP, been working with us for years, 10 years, 20 years of working with ESET, where we then have account managers that are managing one to few. So that's the sort of key focus that we've put into management of the MSPs. Also then the investment, certainly around our marketing development funds. So we've really spun around where we put our marketing spend into partner MDF. So 80% now of that goes towards our partner MDF and supporting them with their go-to-market webinars, events, which we're seeing a lot more requests for through the MSP channel. And then finally, the commercial aspect, obviously making sure that we're working with them to, put together bespoke commercial packages for them, depending on their needs and their customer needs and the solution set that they want to go to market with. So those are the sort of 3 key things that we've tried to do to ensure the investment of people, the investment around how we can help them go and create a business with us. And like I say, then the most important sometimes the MSPs is the commercial aspect and how they can take that to their customers.
Okay, MSPs are increasingly turning to MDR and XDR solutions. How is ESET helping partners implement these services efficiently while protecting margins?
Yeah, great question. I think for us, MDR is becoming critical and has been becoming critical for a last number of years. We've seen real aggressive growth in MDR adoption across our MSPs, which has been great. And we've looked to try and simplify it for partners, like above, working with them on the commercials. MDR is not an insignificant in terms of price, but you're gaining so much more. And obviously for MSPs, very difficult for them to scale and build out a 24/7 security operations center. So being able to adopt a vendor's MDR seamlessly into their environment is key and something that we've seen fast adoption of. What we've also done to help our MSPs is offer our MDR solution to them free of charge via our NFR program. This has seen huge success. Typically, what we tend to see is the MSPs start to adopt themselves. Once they've seen the power of the service, then that becomes a minimum offering for them. So when they start going to their customers, it's like, well, if you're not going to adopt the MDR service, then we can't support you properly. The threat landscape demands the MDR and XDRs there. The challenge that we see with XDR is it's great that you've been given the tool, but have you got the resource, the expertise then to actually proactively manage it? So being able to adopt that from a vendor like ourselves at scale and fit the commercial aspect to their customer base again has been key and to our success. And like I say, the adoption has been fantastic over the last couple of years.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you. So advanced phishing protection, ransomware remediation, and AI-driven security are now non-negotiables. How should MSPs prioritize these capabilities when building their security offerings?
As you say, really, it is non-negotiable. If you're not offering or educating customers on the need for enhanced protection, then our concern is that they will be blamed if anything goes wrong. If you're an MSP and your customers are outsourcing to you, and if anything did happen, they're going to come and look at you and understand, okay, why did this happen? I rely on you to provide me with a level of protection. And typically, they're not delivering that enhanced protection. So you need to be looking at your T's and C's as an MSP to your customers. You need to be looking at, does that cover and protect against today's threats? Fixing a breach runs into the tens of thousands of pounds. A proactive investment typically we would say would be 10% of the value or the cost as if you were dealing with that post the breach. So being proactive, getting ahead of that, bolstering your cybersecurity, and especially things like MDR, will obviously allow you to, hopefully as an MSP, gain more customers and certainly have that proactive conversation with the customers about what they need to be doing and why. And that's one of the big resource elements that we support the partners with, being able to go out and help educate their customers on the need for it, rather than just saying, right, you should be adopting it. Why should I be adopting it? The investment and the return on investment is the key element. So both the MSP and their customers understanding that and being able to articulate it is incredibly important.
Perfect. So kind of leading on from that, cybersecurity skills gap continue to challenge MSPs. What strategies or tools can help partners scale their services effectively without overburdening their teams? Because there's a lot of talk about workload and all those things, work-life balance. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think we often see it. I think one of the things that we do see in MSPs is the retention of staff can be quite challenging. So keeping the staff, keeping that expertise within your business is very difficult. My advice is work closely with us and your other security vendors. There's so much more probably support and knowledge available than sort of partners reach out for. Take the time to learn from security experts, the vendors like ourselves, best practices. Understand what you have today and what you could be making more use of. Whether you're an MSP, whether you're an end user, what we often see is that they don't really understand the solutions they've actually got already, and the roadmap of what those solutions look like. And that's where being proactive and reaching out to your vendor and working with us to understand what that looks like is huge. As a MDR, we keep coming back to that conversation, does that heavy lifting. So if you're delivering sort of what we call security 101, you're deploying a security solution, you're making sure it's deployed, turned on, updating, etc. There's a big difference between that and then being able to deliver a true 24/7 threat protection. As I said, a small, medium-sized MSP is pretty much impossible to build, resource, and afford all the solutions needed to run a 24/7 SOC. So outsourcing that to a vendor like ESET with the global reach becomes a no-brainer and adds immense value straight away and very quickly. So again, your return on investment comes back within weeks of that investment. Don't let cost be the driver. Understand the threat as it is today. Understand how you can improve that security posture for you and your clients. Supply chain attacks that obviously we've seen many happen through managed service providers, and having a robust and layered security solution to it. I don't personally think that sort of the endpoint protection hugely is going obsolete. I think it's just evolving. Artificial intelligence that's coming into that, other platforms that need to come in to be able to react quickly. A lot of time is talked about, time to detect, time to protect, etc. So there's a good place and a right place for traditional endpoint protection to be there, but also then the term next gen with XDR and MDR coming into play. So I don't think it's about simply looking at what you have or what you did have and what the market's saying, but cool, do you have the right tools to deliver the protection against the threat today? And if you look at what that is, the bad guy's been incredibly smart, getting inside your network, staying inside your network, learning, and taking that time to understand, and then hitting you when you're most vulnerable. A lot of the attacks that we see happen outside of office hours, happen at weekends, happen over holidays. We've seen obviously over the Christmas period, and they know when people are vulnerable. So it's a question of looking at what have you got? Does that meet today's threat landscape? And making sure that you've got all the layers and all the tools in place to be able to deliver that. And like I say, 24/7 protection is becoming the new norm, as opposed to just delivering a standard endpoint protection solution without management.
I guess I'd never thought about it like that, that the threat is happening more when they're vulnerable, when they're not in the office and things like that. I don't know why, I just never thought about it that way. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, but they'll obviously they'll sit inside the environment, and they'll do their hunting, and will be doing that during office hours to hide when it's noisy. But obviously, when they tend to then attack is when you're vulnerable, and typically when you're vulnerable is when your teams aren't there. And like I say, even if you've got the teams, and even if it is office hours, have you got the expertise to understand what's going on?
Mm. Brilliant. And from your experience, what are the key barriers MSPs face when selling advanced security solutions, and how can vendors like ESET help overcome them?
I think probably cost is one of the key elements that we see, especially MSPs selling into SMB environments. That's probably the biggest thing that we tend to come across. A lot of people say they prioritize cybersecurity, but actually when it comes to putting the money where the mouth is, so to speak, then that probably is one of the biggest hurdles that we have. It's never an issue when someone's been breached. People will spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds post breach, and they will find the money when it happens. Obviously, what we've been trying to do is ensure that people are more proactive, avoid the pain, avoid the stress that comes with that attack. And as I said before, take the time to understand and review. One of the key things that we're always trying to do with our MSPs and our end user customers is review what they've got, the setup. Have they got things turned on? Have they got it finely tuned, etc. But yeah, typically cost and time to actually review and make that decision. We often see that can drag on for months, and obviously the longer you leave it, the more vulnerable you are.
Yeah. AI is also increasingly embedded within cybersecurity tools. How do you see AI kind of changing the way that MSPs deliver threat detection and response services over the next few years?
Hopefully make it easier, more
Mhm.
accurate, faster, and ultimately deliver better support. Time to detect, I think as mentioned this before, and protect is key. So we've seen our time to detect drop from 20 minutes to 6 minutes, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously, speed is of the essence in terms of containing a breach. So, and hopefully that sort of trend continues. And the other bit of value that we always see as well, because obviously security and cybersecurity is always seen as a sort of I've got to have it, but it's not really a business enabler. So hopefully where it will aid is obviously freeing up resource to focus on more positive business impact for the MSPs and their customers, not just reacting to cyber threats. So removing some of those sort of, day-to-day tasks that take time, and allow them to be more proactive than, like I say, reactive on cyber threats.
And then my final question would be, looking ahead, what advice would you give MSPs who want to not just survive, but thrive in an environment of rising threats, regulatory pressures, and evolving client expectations?
Yeah, the word proactive keeps coming up, but yeah, be proactive. Work with your cybersecurity vendors, work with ESET, and don't let price be a blocker in terms of being proactive. Often we see those who are more proactive in the cybersecurity actually helps them gain customers and trust. Obviously, if you think about the reverse, where if something bad was to happen to them or their customer or customer base, then it's hard to recover from that. So being proactive versus reactive is a much better place to be. It's a lot more cost effective. It saves a lot more on the hassle. So don't be scared to be proactive, to adopt managed detection response services. We've seen a huge scale from first adoption of their first customer onto MDR. That scales very, very quickly. And then that allows you to go out and be proactive and actually proactively educate your customers and future customers on how seriously you're taking cybersecurity. Obviously, we've got the new cyber resilience bill that's going to be coming out hopefully later this year, which again will put more pressures and more focus onto MSPs. So again, look at it now, don't wait, get on the front foot and actually use that to your advantage to proactively advertise how seriously you take cybersecurity, because we are seeing more of a pull from the end user to the partners. Obviously last year we saw the huge breaches with Marks and Spencers, Jaguar Land Rover, etc. And obviously that helps educate and fuel the market in better understanding the need and the risk of doing nothing. And I think that's ultimately where we want to move end users and MSP partners from that space of sitting there and hoping it won't happen, or because it hasn't happened yet, that it won't happen to you.
Brilliant. That was great. Thank you. Fantastic answers. It's lovely meeting you.
No problem at all. Lovely to meet you. Thanks a
Bye.
million. Bye.